So now we should be good, at least momentarily, while everything loads. While everything loads.
Good to go.
Yeah, URL. Yes, it's connecting. It's taking a quick minute. Okay, cool. So it's showing on the Facebook group, talking about targeting, talking about Facebook ad targeting. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so we are now live on the Facebook group. Let me go over to YouTube now, and then we'll go ahead and just dive right in.
Perfect.
Perfecto. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Talking Facebook ad targeting. Beautiful. Love it. Okay, cool. Now we are live
Yes.
on both the Facebook group and YouTube. So awesome. Let's get rocking and rolling. So, welcome everybody to the weekly live stream. We've been a little bit AFK or MIA for a little bit while we were, ramping up and launching closed mark codings. So, super exciting stuff with closed mark codings. But for this live stream, we're going to talk about Facebook ads. So, this is a live stream for anybody out there who kind of wants to get more and more familiar with using Facebook ads and how to really get the most out of them. If you're running the ads yourself, or you just want to get more and more familiar with the setup. So we've
Yep.
talked about in the past, like the campaign setup, right, from start to finish. But one thing I want to zoom in on today is the audience targeting. So you're going to hear me say audience and targeting kind of like interchangeably. I'm referring to the same thing. So let's go ahead and talk about audience targeting when it comes to Facebook ads. So the first thing that I would recommend with any campaign, like we even do this with our own like detailers growth advertising campaigns, is to start off with very broad targeting settings. And the reason you want to do this is because ever since Apple released their iOS 14 update back in fall of 2020 or 2021,
Yep.
it basically handicapped a lot of the data that Facebook had on hand. This wasn't just exclusive to Facebook. Google got hit, all the other advertising platforms as well. But
Yep.
essentially, Apple said that all iPhone users have to opt into tracking, right? Before that, Facebook can kind of just, rely on their terms of service and say, hey, we're going to be using your data for ad targeting, right? That's how they get their money. That's their business model. Um, but ever since Apple released that iOS 14 update, a lot of people opted out of being tracked. So it made a lot of the data that Facebook has on hand unreliable and or outdated. So, Radu, if you remember back in the day, you could get super specific with targeting, like hyper specific. Like if you wanted to
Plant
target,
interest.
yeah, if you wanted to target like dog owners, you know, female dog owners, you could target them specifically, create an ad, and almost have a very high chance of targeting those people just based on the data that Facebook had on hand. So those were the glory days. Those were the glory days, and a lot has changed since then. So not just the iOS 14 update, but also, a lot more people using ad blockers on their Chrome browser, Safari, whatever the case is. So
Yep.
you kind of have like these different things that are working against a lot of the traditional ways of targeting, right? A lot of the old and traditional ways of targeting. I want to preface this by saying that it's definitely worth testing the interest based targeting. So, like when you go into the ad account and you specify, I want to target people interested in detailing, people interested in ceramic coatings, I think that's still worth testing. But just know that a lot of the data that you're going to be getting in with that kind of targeting is not going to be the best and most reliable data to go off of. Because again, Facebook is kind of in the dark when it comes to that data that they have. Like they're just not able to get that data from iPhone users. And the reason why iPhone users specifically is because across, at least here in the US, generally iPhone users tend to be higher income, right? They kind of tend to be um, the audience you
Yep.
want to target with any sort of service or product. So that's why this kind of really did take a big impact here with iPhone users. So starting off with broad targeting is probably going to be your best bets. Radu, when it comes to broad targeting, why is that kind of like the first step that we're recommending here? Like, what can somebody expect with broad targeting?
Sure. So the main idea behind broad targeting is basically giving Facebook all the chances. So you might not know the best video to run, you might not know the best offer, ad copy, and all those things. So it would be best to just give Facebook, hey, you have all the options available. We're just gonna give you this broad targeting, basically show our ad in front of everyone. And then when Facebook tells you, hey, usually these are the types of people, or usually this is the video that works, you can then get that information. If that video works and then that ad copy works, this offer, you can then just combine those, maybe in a few weeks, maybe in a few months, depending on the ad spend, because the more you spend, the more information you get. And then once you have those figured out, you can just narrow the targeting. So then instead of targeting maybe 3 million people, you can target one or like 800,000, and then just use the best videos. That would be the main idea behind the broad targeting, at least starting with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of things there. Now that the targeting data has become pretty much unreliable, meaning you're not able to get as specific as you were previously, a lot of that data is not only outdated, but again, super unreliable. Especially if you're driving traffic to like a website, that will make things even more like the data. That's where the data becomes even more unreliable versus just having a direct connection with the Facebook lead form. So that's kind of why we lean more on those. But I will say, just to double click on that point that you made, Radu, is when it comes to targeting, it's better to kind of let the ad itself do a lot of the filtering.
Yep.
So, like, I think one of the biggest things with detailing ads is like making it obvious what you're advertising, right?
For
So
sure.
with our clients, the majority of our client base targets, or we're advertising for ceramic coatings, right? So if you think about the general public outside of our detailing bubble, right? If you think about the general public, a lot of people are not familiar with what the heck a ceramic coating is.
Yep.
So one, the lack of knowledge isn't there, or the lack of knowledge is there, and it tends to be more expensive. So the sales cycle tends to be a lot longer versus like a detail, right? A lot of people are familiar with getting their car detailed. They kind of know what to expect to pay when getting their car detailed or looking for quotes. So detailing pretty much sells itself, right? You just advertise behind it. But when it comes to advertising ceramic coatings, it's a whole different beast because you have those things working against you. We were actually talking about this yesterday in our sales coaching call, where like the general public is not familiar with ceramic coatings. Pricing is like all over the board, right? Depending on your level
Yep.
of experience, your quality of work, your market, pricing is going to vary naturally. So that's why advertising and making it obvious what you're advertising is key. So that's like at a broad level, you want to make whatever you're advertising extremely obvious. Same thing with
Yep.
PPF, right? Lesser known, more expensive. Um, but think about all the people that could really benefit from getting their car PPF'd, right? But just don't know the value and don't know like why the heck it costs so much, but they can afford it. they just don't know about it. So
Yep.
that's kind of like the approach that we take with advertising there. Um, yeah, so that's one thing, is making it super clear and obvious what you're advertising. That way you can lean more on the ad to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Um, so when it comes to Radu, when it comes to letting the ad do most of the filtering, right? What else, or what are some other ways that we can let the ad do a lot of the filtering?
Yeah. So if we use a this broad approach, this broad targeting, when it comes to letting the ad do the work, it's about using as many options as possible. So, for example, the ad copy, with a specific type of ad copy, you will attract specific type of audience, and you can
Yes.
then use various types of ad copies. Maybe someone is really attracted to this idea of a shiny vehicle. Other people are super attracted to this idea of the protection side. Maybe others of the fact that the value of the vehicle will stay maybe the same, so it won't go down as fast. So
Yeah.
keeping those things in mind, you'll know exactly how to make that ad so that the ad does most of the work through the text, also through the content. And we talked a lot about the content on these live streams, and I think in every single place that we can, making those videos with this educational approach in mind, even the headlines, and then quite a few things that you can use, even the headline, with in case you have an offer, in case you don't have an offer. So if you know all of those things, you will then basically create the perfect ad that will do most of the lifting. And then by the time
Yes.
you're going to think about narrowing down the targeting, your ad gave you the most valuable information, which is the perfect audience to target to narrow it down to.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's especially like that is going to be super important, especially if it's a brand new ad account and it's not seasoned, right? Where Facebook doesn't
Correct.
have the historic data. They don't know what audiences you've tested in the past. Awesome. So we have a question
Yep.
here on YouTube. Hey dude, I'm running meta ads for my friend. He has a business of ambient light fittings in cars. So what targeting advice would you give me, and what price should I get leads? So great question. Great question. Still within the auto industry. So I think that's a really good point. Um, when it comes to, and I'm just spitballing here, right? I don't know the market dynamics, right? You know, we specialize in advertising ceramic coatings, more on the detailing side of things. But just to kind of spitball some ideas here, the most important thing that I would recommend when it comes to advertising ambient lights is showcasing the process from start to finish. So like the installation process. And that's going to be super important because it gives people an idea of like what what the installation process looks like, how long it takes, you know, what the turnaround times are. But more importantly, I would demonstrate that through video. So like we're talking about here, Radu, is you want to let the ad do a lot of the heavy lifting with the targeting. So
Yep.
if this is your, if it looks like you've been running these ads for a while, so I don't know what kind of data you have, so let us know. But I would say that I would go with a broad audience first, because if you're adding in like a lot of exclusions with the targeting, like if you're excluding certain markets, certain zip codes, or you're doing more advanced targeting like lookalikes, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But if you're doing those kind of targetings right off the bat, where you haven't really cracked the code on the ad copy or the videos, that's where you can see a higher than normal cost per lead.
Yep.
So I think a good cost per lead that you would want to stay within is $10. Like between $10 to $13, I think would be like the green zone. Anything below that, I think you're good. Also, one thing to keep in mind is if the cost per lead is too low, you know, you might think that a super low cost per lead is like a super great thing, but it could also be a sign of something that might not be super clear in the ad copy. You know, they might be thinking
Yep.
that it's something else that you're advertising. Um, it could also be like an extremely low with an extremely low cost per lead I would also look at the quality of leads coming through. I think that's the important metric to look at here. Is not necessarily the cost per lead, because we have clients where they're very happy with a $20 cost per lead, right?
Yep.
Because the quality of that lead is so high, right? And again, a lot of that you'll find through testing different ad copy, testing different videos, testing different audiences. So yeah, I think $20 is definitely on the high end if you haven't cracked the code on the lead quality portion. So currently I have 1,500 personal DM as leads and 100 paid conversions per lead. $2 cost per lead is good, or can I cut down? Yeah, $2 cost per lead is good. Can you let us know what the lead quality of those look like? Like, what is your conversion rate on the actual product? Not from ad to lead, but from lead to paying customer. What does that conversion rate look like?
Yep.
Because like I said, we have clients where they're happy with the $20 cost per lead. They'll pay for a $20 cost per lead all day long because they know that they're getting a high quality lead and they're able to convert them. So there's a couple things there. It's not just the ad itself that's going to make or break your campaign. There's other factors that we have to consider, like the sales process, the video content, um, how you're following up with those leads. So I would really take a deep dive into those kind of metrics of like how many people are actually not just submitting their information to become a lead, but also how many of those people are actually turning into paying customers and at what percentage? Because once you know your conversion rate and you know your cost per lead, then scaling that becomes super clear. Like,
Yep.
is it? Yeah, I mean, we even have clients who are pretty happy with a with above a $20 cost per lead, right? If we're advertising super high ticket services like an RV coding, a boat coding. So, I mean, I think that right there is the metric to base it off of, is not necessarily driving down the cost per lead as low as possible, but turning a lot of those leads that you're getting into paying customers. And you can play the long game too. So, like, if you have 1,500 leads, are they getting followed up with in a text message or an email drip campaign? Like, are you further educating them to where you might not convert them like on the first phone call or the first text message that they saw the ad, they submitted the information, and you're reaching out to them, but what does the time frame look like to turn them into a paying customers? Okay, so 1,500 personal DM as leads, 100 paid conversions per lead, $2 cost per lead,
Yeah.
100 paid total.
So that would be an under 10% conversion rate, about 6 to 8% conversion rate.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what's the ticket price on that, on the ambient light fittings? Like, what can, on average, what would the average customer pay for that? Because 6%, if it's, I imagine it's a couple $100. So six, like a sub 10% conversion rate is going to be on the low end. You want to really be at average ticket value is $500. The biggest problem, turnaround time is 45 days. Whoa. Why is the
Ooh.
turnaround time 45 days? Is it getting the supplies? Ambient light fittings. No, this is great. This is great. Okay, so let's just look at the $500 price tag with the amount of leads that you're getting and the conversion rate. You're at single digit conversion rates. That is fairly low for the amount of leads that you're getting, and you know to the ultimate customers on the sales side of things. So I think the where you want to be with a $500 price tag there, even if the wait times is, even if the turnaround time is 45 days, ticket value is high. $500 is not a big ticket value. We're advertising packages in the $1,500, $2,000 price tag. So $500, you could definitely get double digit conversion rates.
Yeah,
You should be
for
closer to
sure.
like 20% with the right ad copy and the right videos. So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the live streams, where you want to really focus on the videos. You want to showcase what the process looks like from start to finish. And you really want to start creating like very educational content on how somebody can benefit from the ambient light fittings.
Yep.
Um, so I think that's is will be the best bet to really increase those conversion rates, because the more educational content you're putting out there, um, the better that people are going to be more informed on paying the $500 price tag, right? So people are going to be more. You basically get the chance to really sell them on. Yeah, nice, man. So you really get the chance to sell them on like why they need to pay the $500 price tag for that service. But I
Yep.
think you'll find that um, just showing people your process and giving them information that you're already seeing from those DMs, from those conversations that you're getting now, I would turn a lot of those questions and objections that you're getting into videos, because that's going to even help further increase your conversion rates from lead to paying customer,
Yep.
because now they're going to be doing their own research. And the cool thing about this is they're going to be all that information is coming from your business specifically, right? So it's not something where you know like for ambient light fittings, and we see this with ceramic coatings too, like people are not going out of the way to do their research, right? So we want to give them that all that information up front, right, in a video. You want to keep this video about 90 seconds or shorter, but I think the important thing is pumping out and advertising those videos on a regular basis, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the case is. But that'll definitely help you increase your conversion rates from single digits to double digits. Like you want to really be ideally with the amount of leads that you're getting to the average ticket size of $500, you could easily be at 25% conversion rate.
For
Like
sure.
that's not unrealistic. Um, and yeah, right now you could definitely automate that. Um, yeah, with Happy Detailer. Again, I'm not super familiar with like the intricacies of your packaging and your pricing, but $500 price tag is not that expensive. Can you explain a bit about the website thing and how I can use it to combine it with my meta marketing and scale my business and how I can buy it? Yeah, so um, the $100 service that you're talking about is our starter program. So if you have it, this is more specific to detailing businesses, but I guess you could take a lot of what we teach there and apply it to ambient lighting for vehicles. But it sounds like that is like an additional service to your detailing business, if I'm not mistaken, right? So to buy it, go to detailersgrowth.com/starter, and we have information there on exactly what the program entails. But yeah, we basically walk you through creating your ad campaign, connecting it with Happy Detailer, and yeah, the cool thing about Happy Detailer is you can actually go in there, you can plug in all of your detailing services, all of them, from your basic interior details to a full detail to the ambient light service. Um, and the cool thing about that is you can begin driving traffic to it with our advertising. And um, like we have some clients who are seeing really good traction with that, because they're taking that Happy Detailer booking link and they're adding it to their Google My Business, their Instagram page, and more importantly, they're driving traffic to it with the Facebook ads. So yeah, I think it could be very helpful. And yeah, okay, so good to know that the ambient light services are something that are is like an additional service you're advertising. Very good. Um, okay, the weird thing though is their turnaround time, 45 days. Um, there's no reason why your sales process should be 45 days. Even with our clients who are advertising like $2,000, $4,000, $6,000 PPF jobs, their sales cycle is typically going to be within like the 90-day period. But for a $500 average ticket price, it, you can really get that down. Man, you could probably get that down to a week. Yeah, with the right sales process, you could get that down to a week. So
Yep.
imagine that just by making those educational videos and advertising them, you're going to be educating people on like what the process looks like to get their, to get ambient lights, the benefits, right? That's what people are curious about, is the process and like how it could benefit them, right? So it's more of a cosmetic side of things, but like there's definitely a market for that depending on where you're located. Just curious here, are you located in the US or outside of the US? Because within the US, I know that's like a very big thing. Um, so let us know. Let us know. But yeah, I think that just making those minor changes to your ad campaign, and again, like we go when you come on board with the starter program and with Closemart Coatings, we kind of give you the playbook on the kind of educational content you should make. And the cool thing is like we just um not only are we coming out with the news or have come out with the new sales training, but we're also have come out with our new video content guide. So that'll be like I'm blinking right now. That'll be like the roadmap to help you create those educational videos, to basically shorten the turnaround time, so the conversion time window, and increase the conversion rate from lead to paying customer. But yeah, $500 average ticket price. Yeah, you should be definitely at least approaching 20% conversion rate from lead to paying customer. Yeah, without a doubt. Um, cool. Yeah. So let us know if you are here in the US or outside of the US. Um, but back to targeting real quick. So we talked about broad targeting. Radu, can you go over like the more advanced side of things? So I think the biggest issue that people will run into with advertising is they kick off their campaign, right? They do the broad targeting, but lead quality is still going to be an issue. So what would be like the next steps that you recommend?
Yeah. So once you had some ads running for maybe a few weeks, a few months, and you want to increase the quality, you can then think, okay, what else except the broad targeting? So the first thing that comes to mind is the retargeting one. So retargeting is basically getting that list of people from the broad targeting, using their emails, phone numbers, names, creating a separate list, and then giving it to Facebook, either to retarget those people specifically. So, for example, uh, as Salvador said, the sales cycle might be longer for ceramic. In case you're advertising a 1500 ceramic coating package, people might need, maybe they need some more money, or they just not sold on the idea yet. You
Yeah.
can retarget those people with maybe with a specific offer, or maybe with a different educational type video in which you can explain a few more details. So in short, it's that it's are those people that are interested, you just give them more information or maybe a specific offer. So that would be one thing. And then you can also make, and we can jump into this in a minute, a specific audience that's very similar to the first one. So we will jump
Yes.
into that in a minute, and that's one of the best types of audiences.
Yeah. So just a like Radu, I'm gonna step out here for a little bit, like a minute. But while I'm gone, can you go over like the ways that somebody can retarget with videos, lead form entries, and should the messaging change on the retargeting side of things? And what does
Sure.
that look like? Cool.
Yes. So when it comes to retargeting, you basically need to create a custom audience. You can create a custom audience based on the first audience that you created. So in case you ran videos and you had, let's say, 4 or 5 videos running as an ad, you can then see exactly what percentage of people maybe watched 10% of those videos, 25% of those videos, or 50% of those videos, and then retarget maybe those that are highly interested. So obviously, those people that watched maybe 70% of the entire video, those people are highly interested in your service. And Then obviously you can create various types, various lists based on that percentage, but that would be one thing. Seeing exactly which, so first of all, which video performed the best, because out of those 5 or 6 videos that you might be able to run, one will be the winning one, the winning video. So based on that list, you can take the first video and make a specific list of people that watched maybe half of that. So
Yep.
that, for example, that will be the first one. People that watched your winning video the most amount of time, and then you can retarget those people with a slightly different angle. So maybe an offer, maybe a longer video that goes into more details. So that would be the first one that you can go over.
Yeah. So with retargeting, it's very important. This is like where content is really going to shine because they might have seen like 15 seconds 30 seconds of the first video that
Yep.
they were first introduced to your business. But on the retargeting side, we could take that same video or another similar video where we're kind of taking a different approach. So for example, with ceramic coatings, one of the first videos that, depending on the market, one of the first videos that we're going to almost advertise is an educational video.
Yep.
And then on the retargeting side, we can kind of get more specific on like the pain points that we're hearing from our clients where they're, hey, we're running into this sales issue. Okay, great. Let's go to make a video targeting that specific objection. So on the
Yep.
retargeting side, not only are they seeing that first video that, they first heard about your business, but on the retargeting side, now they're kind of like now you're kind of answering a lot of those questions that they might have had that you might have seen on the sales call or when you do the in-person consultation. But now we're actually taking care of that front and center. Like we're getting in front of that on the retargeting ads. So the messaging is going to be a little bit different. We can still keep it educational. We can still educate people on like what it is we're selling and how they can benefit from it. But on the retargeting side, we can really like listen to the feedback, right? Listen to what people have questions on. Like, for example, with ceramic coatings, one of the biggest questions or one of the biggest roadblocks is pricing, right? Why does it cost so much? I thought it was
Yep.
just a little bottle that you're going to be applying to the outside of the vehicle, right? So now on the retargeting side, we can take that same objection of like, why does it cost so much and make a video dedicated to like the labor that goes into the ceramic coating
Yep.
process. And I think the biggest thing there with labor is not necessarily the decon process, but the paint correction, right? The paint correction is going to be the thing that eats up a lot of, or it's going to extend a lot of the time for that job. So, making a video dedicated to just the paint correction process and like how meticulous you are with that can help give people kind of better insight into your ceramic coating pricing. So, they see the ad the first time, they're interested, they submit their information to become a lead, you get on the call with them, and you go through your process, you go through your entire sales script, and then you get to pricing and they're like, whoa, I was not expecting it to be that expensive, right?
Yep.
You're gonna hear that because ceramic coatings, like I said in the beginning, they're lesser known and more people and price points are like all over the board. So naturally, when somebody's looking into ceramic coatings and they're doing their research, like if they're not braced or they don't know what they can expect or what they're going to be paying for, you could give them a very low price point of like $100 and it's still going to be too much, right? So it's like you're quoting somebody at $1,000, $1,500, and they're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting it to be that expensive. Same thing at 100 or, very low ticket price points. um Obviously not 100, but like probably $300-$400 for like an
Yep.
entry level paint correction, paint enhancement job. Like even with that low ticket price of like I would say between $300 to $600, you're still gonna get people like shocked at the price if they don't know everything that goes into it, right? So
Yep.
like the thing here isn't the price point, right? It's not that you're overcharging that customer or that it's just that they don't see the value in what it is you're selling, right?
Yep.
in the ceramic coating. So that's where, again, educational videos will really come and give somebody better insight to what that looks like from start to finish. Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, we covered broad targeting, open targeting, not really, basically letting Facebook figure out the targeting. Talked about retargeting. Radu, you alluded to lookalike audience targeting. So this is kind of like I would consider it more advanced targeting, but tell me about what a lookalike audience is. What is lookalike targeting?
Yes, so in short, it would be targeting a new audience that has similar characteristics to maybe the first audience. So the first time you targeted a bigger audience, and then you also went and did the retargeting. So now you have the main idea on what's the ideal audience. Now you can give Facebook, hey, I have this list of 5,000 people or 3,000 people. Take those emails, those phone numbers, those names, and based on what you think can create something like a similar, super similar audience, give me that same exact one. So then you will target a different audience that shares similar characteristics to your existing customers, even the ones that bought. So instead of maybe 5,000 leads, you could give Facebook maybe 1,000 customers. So customers that actually bought. Maybe you've been in the game
Yes.
for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Imagine being in the game for 5 years, 6 years, running ads, and giving Facebook 2,000 customers. Hey, Facebook, give me something super similar to this. And then Facebook
Yes.
does its thing with the AI that's on Instagram and on Facebook and all those things, with all the data points, and it will give you this super great audience. So that would be in short
Yeah.
what it means. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And like Radu said, the most important thing with lookalike audiences is the quality of the data that you're feeding it. So
Yeah.
basically, a lookalike audience, you can make it based off of people who watch your videos, people who submit their information to become leads for your business, website visits with the Facebook pixel. What else? What else? Instagram likes, Facebook page likes. So, like for example, your Facebook page likes, your Facebook and Instagram page likes, I would consider that a relatively low quality audience because it's people who just they're not as invested into what you're selling, right? They're
Yep.
just kind of taking a more of a passive role. Um, don't get me wrong, it's still better than like just broad targeting, but it's pretty much broad targeting if you're just gonna make a lookalike list based off your Facebook and Instagram page likes. Okay, so I would rank Facebook page likes on the lower end, and then kind of like in the medium would be targeting people who are previous leads or have watched certain percentages of your videos. So when you advertise these educational videos, this is actually where you can get an even better and more high quality audience than the
Yep.
people who are just getting hit with that video on the broad targeting side of things. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that you also want to specify what percentage or what actions people take in order to kind of further the quality of those leads or of quality of that audience. So for example, video views. In the Facebook targeting options, you can actually set and target and create a lookalike list based off what percentage of the watch time that they watched the video, like
Yep.
percentage of how much of that video they watched. So you could do like the first 30 seconds, which again is, at 3 seconds, you're not really invested into whatever you're watching on Facebook. You could do 15 seconds, but then you can also do like 25%, 50%, 75% video views. And those higher percentages are going to give you a higher quality audience because now somebody's actually watching those educational videos that you made. And now we can target people who are more likely to watch those longer, I mean, to watch more of those educational videos. Same thing with the Facebook lead forms. Um, right? You can base it off people who open the lead form people who open and submit, or people who just submit that Facebook lead form. Obviously,
Yep.
people who just open the form, right? That's pretty broad, right? And it's a very low commitment out of them. So, that's probably not the highest quality audience. But if you target people who saw the ad, they clicked on the form, and they submitted their information, that is going to be a higher quality, than somebody who just opens the form but doesn't submit.
Yep.
So that's what I would consider like the mid tier, right? Video views and Facebook lead forms. But the top tier, the highest quality data that you can feed Facebook to create a lookalike audience are going to be previous customers. And I think that the important like asterisks to highlight here is the type of customer, right? So if up until now your entire client base has been detailing jobs, that's not going to be a relatively high quality audience if you then want to advertise like PPF or ceramic coatings, right? Because the price points are different. Um, yes, you could argue that you could upsell and but for the most part, those are going to be different audiences, at least at a macro level, because audience, the audience who typically tends to lean more towards getting the car detailed might not be financially ready or knowledgeable about ceramic coatings. So this is where like if you want to give Facebook the highest quality data, I would give them your customers, right? So you could just do you could just export this from your CRM, um, and just give Facebook all those emails. Tell Facebook, hey, look for people who have similar characteristics to my previous paying customers.
Yep.
And again, the little asterisk there is going to be the quality of those customers, right? So are these customers who um, are these like low ticket, maybe more quantity service customers, or are these customers who have done business with you for years and tend to pay more or have a higher ticket value on them? So this is why we see lookalike lists working out really well for our customer or for our clients who have a lot of that high quality data that Facebook needs to make those targeting decisions, like having a pretty big ceramic coating list, or having a really good and healthy sized list of the service you're advertising for. So same thing would apply for window tint, detailing, right? If you just kind of give Facebook your entire list of customers and you tell Facebook, okay, go target people based on this list, you're not really giving Facebook a whole lot of data to work with, at least
Yep.
when it comes to a high quality data point. So, like, that's why the quality of the list that you feed Facebook is going to be super important. And last thing I want to talk about here with you is exclusion. So we talked about broad targeting, retargeting, lookalike lists. Now let's talk about targeting people that we don't want to see, who like we know definitively we do not want them to see our ads because they just might not be the best fit.
Yeah. So very simple idea. Um, every single city specific area might have areas that maybe might be higher income, maybe zip codes, and some areas maybe which might be lower income zip codes. Maybe specific parts of a city has maybe lower density. So either way, those are specific reasons for which you might not want to target in those areas in which most of the vehicles are older vehicles, for example.
Right.
And then if you want to advertise a $6,000 PPF, it will be quite clear to you which specific part of a city will benefit from that price point instead of
Yes.
the other ones. So that would be the main idea: lower income zip codes and then higher income zip codes. When you target the higher income zip codes, you can basically target. You can also increase the cost of the ceramic coating package that they're offering. So it goes both ways. You can increase it in case you want to lower it maybe a bit. Get a higher volume. You can basically target both. Yeah.
100%. And the cool thing about this is this data is super easy to find, very simple to
Yeah.
find. So I would say the first thing you want to do is like you're familiar with your market, right? You're familiar with the neighborhoods, the certain areas of your city that you know for sure just might not have your ideal client, right? They might not be there financially, they might not be there interest wise. There's a couple of different reasons why you would exclude them from targeting, but if you know like that area, you can plug that into Facebook and exclude and
Yeah.
like tell Facebook to exclude this audience that probably doesn't have a high chance of like coming in and becoming a customer. So this is why I said earlier that like a very low cost per lead could also be an indicator of very low quality leads coming through. So that's
For sure.
why having a very low cost per lead might actually work against you because Facebook could be advertising to that low income area and putting a lot of the budget behind that specific area where now you're just bombarding a low quality audience with your ads. They're seeing it, they're interested, right? Which is good. But then when it comes to them actually paying and becoming a customer, that's kind of where things fall apart. So that's why it's really good to look at the entire picture from like what kind of content are we putting out there? What offer are we doing? Um, do people like is it obvious what we're selling? That's why we started a live stream by saying that like it might be obvious to you what you're selling, like the benefits, but like a complete stranger who might not be super familiar with ceramic coatings, with PPF, and like the awesome benefits that come with it, that person might not be super familiar with exactly what you're selling, right?
Yep.
Especially if you're using industry specific wording, right? So if the first thing in your ad talks about like paint correction, is probably not going to have a lot of legs to stand on because paint correction in the general public has is kind of like a vague term, right? In the industry, in the detailing world, it's clear to us what a paint correction is, but you'll be surprised at how many people are like, "Is a paint correction like paint touch up? Am I gonna have to take it to an auto body shop? Are you guys an auto body shop? Like, what do you guys do?" Right? So that's why you want to make it as obvious as possible what you're advertising, and I think that starts with content first and foremost. Content is going to be the key driver because content, like I said previously, you can use it to help overcome some of the questions that might not be super clear in the ads. And then you can kind of use that information to refine your ad copy, your videos. Um, so, yeah, basically, it's a lot better to rely less on Facebook's targeting options, right? And focus more on the content in the ads themselves. So, this is why we tell people like our advertising, we try to keep it as simple as possible on purpose because we don't have a lot to work with when it comes to targeting anymore, right?
Yep.
And if there's another agency or another program telling you otherwise, they're probably blowing smoke, it,
Too good to be true.
because yes, to or they have some new algorithm that they figured out. When you look under the hood, it's probably, a lookalike audience. So, you know, depending on what people are telling
Yeah.
you, I would be very skeptical if they're trying to like offer or sell some sort of magic bullet targeting option. And you'll see, like when you come into our the starter program or close mark coatings, we start off with a very basic campaign setup on purpose because we want to get the data on the quality of leads, the areas that we want to exclude in the future, our sales process. So that's why we're not just like trying to sell some magic targeting solution, right?
Yep.
If there was a magic targeting solution, Radu and I we'd be billionaires, right? But that's just not the case. It really does come down to a lot of trial and error with your ad copy, with the videos, with the targeting options, and more importantly, with your sales process. So I want to wrap things up there. Radu, is there anything that you want to add or mention when it comes to any of the targeting options that we talked about?
Yeah, I think that would be it. Keep it simple. Go with the broad targeting. Once you've done it for a few weeks or months, go on and retarget people and then create those lookalike audiences. And the main idea, as Sal said, don't start the ad copy with the decom process and that's it. Even like decom process, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So keep it simple, keep it so that maybe give that specific ad copy to some people around you that you know that have zero
Yes.
idea about coatings. Just what do you think about this? So as long as you do that, you can verify those ad copies and yeah, keep it simple to begin with. That would be the main idea for sure. Yeah.
Yes. And that is a really good tip that you mentioned there, Radu. And one thing I do want to mention is there's a really good book on this. It's called The Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick. I don't know if you've heard about this book, Radu, but let me share my screen here real quick just to show you guys this what the book looks like. So this video is like it's 100, you can see here it's 130 pages, so it's a very quick read. It's a very quick read. You can read it within like half an hour, you know. um but essentially what this book talks about is exactly what Radu mentioned, where you want to give, you want to explain what you're selling. You want what you're selling to be so easy to explain that you can hand it to a family member like your mom, your grandma, your cousin, and they can understand it very quickly.
Yep.
So this is a good book. I highly recommend reading it. This will give you kind of better insight to what we're talking about with like making it obvious on what you're selling.
Yeah,
So I'll leave you
for
guys
sure.
with this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week.